Okay, cool. I like to apologize in advance to everyone if my screen looks a little ashy. I'm pretty much too cheap to buy a new computer, so I'm still rocking my computer from school. It's been 8 years now, so please don't judge me for that. But just like to say what's up to everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to another segment of Where Are They Now? No, I'm not Lily or Colonel Kramer. Don't have the privilege of being as good looking as those people, but I'm still glad to bring you another session so we can all expand our horizons as we continue to learn more about what's out there in the Air Force. Kind of the thought process behind these Where Are They Now segments is really to highlight what's out there, because I know we all know at some point we're going to have to leave Fred, going to have to leave Travis in the 22nd, unfortunately, and we just want to know what other opportunities are out there. For younger co-pilots, similar to myself, we really didn't know what we didn't know at some point. So please, younger pilots, ask questions, start talking to people on the road, wherever you can find, such that you can figure out what opportunities are out there. And once you do come to that point, we're ready to leave Fred. And as well as to talk to some other muleys that are out there. So it gives us the opportunity to talk to them and see what they're up to. So please ask questions. Feel free to put it in the chat, and then we'll make sure we get it if anything does come up, and we'll get it from there. But we're going to get started. We do have our special guest today. He is the current 344th Air Refueling Squadron Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Joshua Morris with the 46, a former C5 pilot, and now still flies the KC-46 over at Meccano. So, sir, welcome to the Double Deuce Cloud. We thank you so much for taking your time out of your schedule for sure to come have a sit down with us. Sir, we just go ahead and start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your career background and whatever you have for us.
No, you bet. Can you guys hear me? Is this mic, is this good? All right, cool. First, thank you all. This is awesome. My first operational squadron you all are sitting in, and certainly near and dear to my heart. Yeah, I would love to be there right now with you all. You guys have a great squadron commander right now. Had an opportunity to watch him when I was in school beat the hell out of some people in a boxing ring. So if he's starting to look old, which it looks like that hair might be looking a little frail now, don't let that fool you. He's a force to be reckoned with. So y'all are really lucky. My name's Josh, Lieutenant Colonel Moores now, and first assignment out of the Air Force Academy. I went to pilot training down in Whiting Field. Got air sick pretty much through the entire program. Only thing I ever wanted to fly was A-10s, and ended up in the C5 after Vance. And nothing, looking back on it, that was probably the best thing that's ever happened to me. Ended up in the C5. As you all know how awesome that airplane is to fly around the world. I flew the A model at San Antonio, was the last graduating lieutenant at the time to ever fly the A model, and then went to fly the B model and C model at Travis, and then went to Dover to fly the M model. And then did some staff stuff in DC that you all probably aren't too concerned with. And then ended up trying to get off of staff, is what happens after school and staff. They try to find a place for you. And they had called, AFPC had called and asked what I wanted to do next. I told them Travis, C5s, and they said easy enough. Hung up the phone and didn't think anything of it. And then a friend of mine called me who was going to be the KC-46 squadron commander, and said, hey, what do you think if I try to get your orders changed to the 46 at McConnell? I had no interest in Kansas, quite honestly. No offense to all those from Kansas. I'm from Colorado, but mountains are kind of my thing, and I wanted to be back in the C5 where my heart was. Ended up, he told me, hey, they already cut the orders for you. So instead of the 46, because the 46 had not been delivered yet, I got a set of orders when I was thinking I was going to go to Travis C5s. I got a set of orders for the 135 to McConnell. So kind of a curveball there. One of those career moments where I'm like, what the hell am I going to go do next? But that was all a vehicle to just get here to McConnell and then deliver the 46, which ended up happening. So I went through the schoolhouse at Altus for the 135, flew my 20 hours down there and then never touched the airplane again. Thank goodness. That's a really difficult airplane to learn, and that thing is antiquated. and I had no interest flying it. Got here, never touched it again. We delivered the first KC-46 2 months later. That was a little over 2 years ago, and everything else is in the rearview mirror. And right now the KC-46 is working through IoT&E. I think we have upwards of 20 approved receivers now, C5 obviously being one of those. And starting, we are looking to the first delivery to McGuire probably sometime in November. So the KC-46 enterprise is growing very quickly. As far as young airmen and you all are concerned, it is not going to be probably a Phoenix type of an option. I don't know if for the next year or two. I don't know when they start rolling the 46 into a Phoenix program. But all of our manning in the squadron here in the first KC-46 squadron is done hands-on selection and pretty much commander to commander, and then AFPC approval. So I have in this squadron right now, when my predecessor left, we were at 60 individuals in the squadron. We're at 153 as of yesterday, and I get 2 pilots and a boom operator every 3 weeks, either through the aircrew training detachment here at McConnell, which is to fill the gap for the flight safety contract that is unable to produce pilots and boom operators for this enterprise right now down at Altus. And then we do get a trickle of airmen through that program. But those, like I said, those are all handpicked airmen from commander to commander who come to the 46. I have 21 different MWSs in the squadron right now. So of those 153 airmen, I have F-16 folks, 135 folks, KC-10 folks, KC-30 folks, C-5 folks, C-17s, 135s, EC-130s, E-8s, B-1s, B-52s, T1s, T6s, you name it. We have 21 different backgrounds. So that is an interesting dynamic that this squadron really is kind of set apart from all the other squadrons in AMC with. I remember being in the C5, and that is, in my opinion, one of the best communities to be involved with. When you come in as a new lieutenant, everything is already set in stone on how you're supposed to train, expectations for when you're going to upgrade, what you do on an OME, what you do on a mission. It's all been done ahead of you, which is really nice, and it's a great community and it's a great culture. But we don't have that here in the 46 right now. We literally make that stuff up as we're going right now. So when I send somebody out on an OME for the KC-46, and they ask, well, what am I being evaluated on? I have to sit down with my director of operations and figure out what the heck that looks like. Because I don't know if it's tanker, hey, just be at the CT when the C5 shows up and you pass, and then make sure you give them gas and don't be unstable. Or is it, can you run the tactical systems that are supposed to drive this airframe onto the on-ramp of JADC2 construct and ABMS? Or is it an AE mission? Or is it a coronet? Or is it cargo? So we are literally putting all of that together in flight, completely, aside from how you would experience a seasoned community like the C5. That being said, I want that diversity of background and diversity of thought. I think is what's really making this enterprise interesting right now. It's driving a lot of questions that as a C5 guy I would have never asked. Sometimes some of these 135 folks bring up ideas, and I have to bite my tongue and say, that's a stupid 135 idea. We wouldn't have done that in the C5, But we have B1 folks bringing us training ideas, B52 folks bringing us training ideas, all things out of what I would have normally asked. So it's an exciting time. You read a lot about the 46 in the news. I will be the first one to tell you that this airplane, one, is awesome to fly as a pilot, and two is if the flag goes up tomorrow and we have to go to war, this airplane is going to be giving you gas. It's that simple. It's completely capable. What you see is higher headquarters Air Force and Department of Defense, PR campaigning against Boeing to ensure that this airplane is right. There's a lot of things that we will get fixed on this airplane over the next 4 years, the remote visual system being one of them. But as far as taking off today and going and being a tanker for all those receivers, we can do it. So it's easier for me to sit here and tell you all that than for you to all to read that in the news. But I think once McGuire gets their first airplane in November, I think Transcom is going to lose patience with trying to hold Boeing to the fire, and they're going to start tasking this airplane. So what that looks like, I have no idea. Is in my mind, I would not like this to look like a 135 where you get or a KC-10 where you get cut to Al Dhafra or Al Udeid and fly. I would like it to be a C5 construct of you are given to TACC for a certain amount of time, and they task you and you hit worldwide missions. You know, I would love to be in this airplane in Rota, Spain, calling home, asking for any, hey, do you have any receivers available in Europe that we can pick up for a week? I think that's how this airplane should operate, but that decision will be made from general officers that probably have bigger and better ideas than I do. But I appreciate you guys having me on here. I was in a hurry back from the wing building and thinking of C5 stuff, and man, I would love to be in your all shoes right now. You have the whole world in front of you.
Yes, sir. We thank you for all those words that you said. I kind of want to focus on one thing that you kind of said at the beginning. Can you describe kind of the look for a mechanical crossflow pilot coming into the 46 versus the Phoenix program just a little bit more?
Yeah. So General Van Novost 2 weekends ago was actually right here in the office. We have mechanical crossflow folks that came over on the first board, and I asked her, because my concern is talent management with some of my airmen, is we have a lot of talent in this enterprise, in the 46 enterprise right now. And I asked her about how that is looking compared to a Phoenix Torch, a Phoenix Reach specifically. And she said with Colonel Tanner, who's our wing commander here, that any 06 and above that looks at a board that anybody is on will see crossflow if they see 46. It is looked at essentially the same as a Phoenix Reach type program. Now, how that works right now is a little interesting, because by July of this year, I will expire the PSDM, which was the initial board selected folks to come here. So I have people lined up from just commander to commander discussions that are coming to the 46 later into this fall. That, really by no board selection at all, just by their commander looking after them, is sending them from their airframe to the 46, and they're getting crossflowed on their record. I think that if you are looking at an Air Force career, it's important to, especially in AMC, to kind of have the tanker / cargo look on it. I had no interest in tankers, and here I am as a tanker squadron commander. Like I said before, Fred is where my heart is at. But I can tell you, as a professional in the business that we're all in, as far as the war business and logistical business, you've got to understand how the tanker part works too, if you want to, if the future of the Air Force is something you're interested in. And on the other hand, if the future of just flying is something you're interested in, you're pretty much flying a 767, which, by the way, crosses over from the C5 M model very, very well. So I would say that the C5 pilots that come here, zero problems flying this airplane. I mean, besides not having the comm panel up here, which drives me freaking crazy, because I don't know how hard that is to make that happen. And I remember how easy it was having that up there. Everything else is pretty much the same. All your autopilot controls and everything. And receiver AR, our C5 folks are exceptional at. Same with our KC-10 folks. And so the transition itself, going through training, is quite honestly, it's easy. This airplane is very, very easy to fly. It is hard to fly, exceptionally well. But a C5 cross into the 46, you're gonna be like, that's it. There's no boldface for this airplane. There's no memory items. It's weird. how we operate. But it's designed that way intentionally, so people like me can't go fly this airplane and do something stupid.
Yes, sir. And you kind of alluded to it already for the next question. But for people who have that thing where they don't want to necessarily be a tanker, maybe that's their thought process going over. What would you say is the overall, you kind of talked about it a little bit already, but what is the overall mission of the 46 and how's it being employed right now? And then in the future, is it supposed to just take the place of the KC-10? Or is it supposed to kind of do exactly what the KC-135 is doing? Or is it kind of like a little bit of both? And where's it going pretty much in the say next like 10 to 20 years?
Yeah. So I truly think that the 46 is not going to replace the 135 at all. There's too many differences, and it's not going to replace the KC-10. They're completely different animals. The mission set of the KC-46 at heart will be tanker AR to provide fuel to the other airplanes. Most likely, Gen 5 or Generation 5th Gen fighters. But this will be the first airplane in AMC to really on-ramp into the JADC2 and ABMS. So the tactical systems, which nobody in AMC has figured out, including us, especially at higher headquarters, they have no idea what that is all about. We have systems on this airplane where I can go out to the airplane, take off, and be air refueling with a B-52, and I can zoom out and see that B-52 halfway across the country, and I can tell you how much fuel they have on board and what ammunition they have on board. I can, with our radar receiver, without going into too many details, we can fly through, we can fly the PIFR, and we'll get alerts nonstop on what systems that Iran does or does not have turned on. So that is the huge difference. That is what I believe, if the 46 community does it right, will be what the 46 mission is in the future, is primarily getting fuel to those 5th gen fighters, but at a next generational level of situational awareness. A KC-10, if you're looking at warp O plans out to the Pacific, they know exactly what lat long they can get to before they can't go any closer. If you have the systems that the 46 has on it, you can get a lot closer if we figure it out as an enterprise and really as AMC in general, because that we're not tactically minded necessarily. Certainly not myself. Now I've been to Bagram, I've been to Balad, I've been to all those places in the C5. Usually when Larcom went off, I was like, hey, you mind turning that off? It's bothering. It's not like we're gonna hang a hard left. So watching some of the ACC folks come into this enterprise and look at what they think the future is, it's really mind-boggling on what that could be. Today, our mission for this airplane is IoT and E. So we fly 3 or 4 OSTs every couple of weeks, and we sit in the squadron and we figure out what we want to go do. It is the best flying in the Air Force you can ever have right now, and probably for the next year, until TACC and Transcom finally get a hold of us and start tasking us. We have no taskable tails right now. We react to if they ask us to do something. Like we did an AE mission out of Hickam because we had a crew dropping into Hickam and they had an AE opportunity and we took it. But those are all asks. We are not taskable right now because of our transition status, which as a squadron commander, morale is high right there. It's nothing that I'm doing. It's because, captains and lieutenants, well, really 2 lieutenants, we have 2 lieutenants in the squadron now. So young captains are going and planning, hey, I want to go to Alaska, and then we're going to go over to Yokota and do this. And then we're going to go to Hawaii, and then we're going to go back to Travis for a couple of days, and then we're going to come home. And for me and the DO, it's like, can you at least justify what we're trying to get done here? And they would give us a list of training requirements, and then we sign off on it. But a lot of the captains don't really know any different right now. And I just look at them and I'm like, oh my God, if I was a young captain again doing what you're doing, that will probably continue for another year. Now that'll be different from McGuire. McGuire won't have the IoT and E mission for this airplane. The moment McGuire gets airplanes, I imagine that they start flying. I imagine the first airplane that lands there takes off the next week on a THC test mission, and it's gonna be all business then. So I hope that answers.
Yes, sir. Actually provides a lot of clarity, actually. So for the next question is, you kind of also alluded to it earlier about some of the stereotypes that we hear out there. Fortunately, we did have the opportunity from Captain Daryl Baker and Captain Andrew Kim. They came out here, so talked to them a lot about the jet. Solid jet still's got that new jet smell and everything. So one of the prettiest things out there. But how did the rumors pretty much come about the negativity behind, is the system ready or is it not? And what has the Air Force basically done to kind of stop those rumors and progress it into the next phase, would you say?
No, that's a good question. A lot of those rumors are not, the Air Force does not want to squash, because those are Air Force generated storylines. And they do that intentionally because they want something fixed and they want Boeing to fix it. And Boeing tells them, no, that's not in the contract. So the Air Force then puts fire under Boeing under a PR campaign. So they say, hey, this airplane is broken. So you see that. Is the airplane broken? No. Can it be better? Imagine buying 500 Corvettes, and the Corvette and Corvette company says, I'm going to give you 1 or 2 to test drive for this first couple years. You let me know what you think. And then you go back and you're like, I don't like how the mirror adjusts. And they say, well, that's too bad because you didn't specify when you bought it that you wanted that to adjust differently. And that's, for some reason, that's an absolute, point of contention for me. So then I'm going to start saying in the local newspaper, like, Corvette can't even do mirrors. Like, this is terrible. There's no way I'm buying 500 of these things if you can't even do mirrors. So that's what you hear. So they're not really rumors. It's legitimate contracting done in the public forum. Like, that's what you're seeing going on. 2 times since the New Year's, General Van Novost and General Brown. So General Van Novost flies out here. She comes to our squadron, briefs with our airmen, goes out to the 46 with our airmen, and flies the 46 to DC. She lands in DC with Raven, which is our 344 squadron here. She lands with them. They go brief General Brown. General Brown the next day flies with her and with our airmen on a 46 and shows congressional members what they want fixed in the airplane. That's happened 2 times since the new year, and I think 4 times in the last year and a half, 2 years. That's like it might seem wild. If I have a board right here to the right, you all can't see, it has all the airmen that I own as far as the squadron, as a squadron commander, and then underneath it is people that are attached to us for their FEFs. General Van Novost is the first record on there. It's crazy. Like, she comes in, I walked in 2 Sundays ago, and she was briefing in our briefing room. Like, she was standing up briefing weather NOTAMs told in the route and talking about the star into Andrews and how she was going to control the autopilot. Isn't that wild? So the top level leadership of the Air Force understand that, but they have got to hold Boeing accountable for they got to squeeze all the lemon juice out of this lemon, no matter how much they have to squeeze. Unfortunately for our airmen, they're just kind of you have to have a full understanding of what's going on in the greater Air Force.
Hey Josh, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Hey brother, it's been a hot minute, man, since we've hung out. First, thanks for this, man. I know you're super busy. I was a little late because I was at the wing as well, doing the CRB, with the vice wing. And it's just, it's nonstop, right? But first off, man, this is super important for a lot of us. We've got a couple KC-46s on our VML. So this is big for our team. I'm pretty big into being as transparent as I can be, much like you are, right, with your pilot corps. And information is powerful, right? And getting it straight from you, with the IOT&E first squadron stood up. That's going to be probably operational, for the rest. That's kind of setting down the roots and starting the legacy the KC-46, right? That's on your shoulders. That's a lot of responsibility, and you know, your ability to share that with us is golden, man. So
No, I appreciate it.
we're recording all this, right? Because we're busy. We just landed. We're en route actually to India, right, with our COVID kit to kind of help them out. We're humping it, you know, but much like you remember, I was talking to John Schwartz, and obviously Cosmo Kramer, and you know, the old Travis crew that was here when I was out at Dover, and you know, the legacy you laid down here is still here, right? And those things you alluded to, the culture of Fred is still alive and well, man. We're very young, right? And some of those, you know, first and second assignment folks here that I'll probably be transplanting over to the 46, probably one to McGuire, hopefully one to you, are gonna bring that legacy with them. So thanks for that as well.
No,
I did have one question. So it's going McGuire next, right? The KC-46. After that, it's Fairchild or McDill. You may have already mentioned it.
the next main operating base will be Travis.
Okay.
So
Okay.
in fact, my DO, Lieutenant Colonel Ted Fisher, will come out there in July and be the program integration officer out there. And I think the plan will be for him to be take command of the 10 unit out there. That's going to is it the 6? I think
6 of the 9th, right?
Yeah.
I think it's first, right?
And I don't know how that timing looks. I don't think AMC has looked past McGuire. And there's a congressional member at the Pease district in New Hampshire. So Pease has KC-46s, but it's a National Guard base. That congressional member has been yelling all spring about how she wants the active duty component back. If she gets that put into the NDAA this year, I think Travis goes on pause, or the 349th here at McConnell goes on pause, and we will then start sending people to New Hampshire.
Wow.
So, but Travis is scheduled next after McGuire. I think that's end of 2022. 2022 timeframe.
Yeah, I think FY23 calendar year 22. I think is what's been looking around. And obviously, we're tearing up hangars and different MilCon that's going on here. It's California, right? So it's always the timeline slides right because of a tiger salamander or something we find in the ground that's protected, right? Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed in California, man. That's super interesting. And for the team, you know, once you make that transition in mechanical crossflow, it doesn't guarantee you stay in tankers, right? There's always an opportunity to come back. But as you know, Fred is stagnant. You know, it's not growing. We're not growing squadrons, but the 46 is, right? And it's a game changer. And kind of the JAD C2 construct and you know, the kind of the airborne C2 node is just the hot topic, right? That's where, it doesn't carry the same amount as the KC-10, but like you said, it can be used that much more efficiently, right? And effectively to, you know, meet the needs of ACC for kinetic effects. So that's huge, right? And that's a lot of insight, I think, for us from a professional development standpoint, is understanding where the KC-46 fits in and how it is a game changer, right? It's really more of an enabler, you know, beyond just giving gas, right? So that's huge for our team to understand. And obviously we're recording that. We'll talk about that later. A lot more stuff that can be classified, you know, there is classified, we're not going to talk to, but, you know, rest assured, I'm sure that when the folks show up to the squadron, they're getting read in, right? And they're getting the detailed, you know, nuts and bolts that I guarantee are super interesting. Let's see here. Weaves, thanks for putting this on, brother. Is there anything else, or we can open up for questions, you know, or Josh, if you guys something to add that maybe I've kind of spurred on, I'll just kind of put up now.
And Brian, I would say, you know, I've tried to think back, young captain, finishing at Travis, going to Dover C5s. There's an interest, you know, career-wise in the Air Force. There's the way they're working promotion time now. When you're a major to lieutenant colonel to colonel, there's you know, we don't know yet, but there will probably be time in there for another ops assignment for a lot of our younger airmen in that progression between IDE staff and whatnot. If I was first assignment at Travis right now, or second assignment at Travis right now, C5s, and I was wanting to go fly another airplane, I would, first off, it was my first assignment. I'd probably want to stay in the C5 just because I love the C5. If I was looking to cross-float or something, there would not be not even second guess on what that would be to be the KC-46. Like you are you know, everything General Brown has laid out in his accelerate, change, or lose documents, like our airmen do that every day. IOT&E is accelerating change like that. This program, the 46 program, has never moved faster than it did the moment they gave this to the airmen. So whether it's our maintainers out on the ramp, or our young captains flying the airplane, it's never moved faster until it got to them. So they're living that every day. And I think that's not going to go anywhere for the next 6-7 years. You know, the C-17 never really found itself until it was doing like airdrop into Iraq, northern Iraq. It was still figuring out what the heck they're going to do. I don't think that the 46 really figures out what it's doing for another 5 or 6 years. So if you want the opportunity to be a part of that, jump straight in. You know, the C5 is an amazing place to be. And if I were to look to cross flow and I was a captain, it's not even close. I would be fighting tooth or nail, you know, forget all the other airframes. The 46 will be the future. And then whatever comes after that, you now have experience with transitioning a new airplane. I think we start rolling out variations of airplanes, you know, very, very fast in the next 10 years. We just have to. Technology is going to start moving too fast. 46 is not going to be around as long as the 135. And if it is, then we've lost World War III when it happens. So, yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, we're gonna open it up for. I'll give a little pause for anybody that has any other questions. But I got a couple more that people may not know that they might want to ask about. But I'll just open it up real quick.
Richie, did I see you a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, so you caught me before I left on my Alaska mission.
Yeah, that's right. Were you getting eval or just happened to fly with that bum?
No, he tried to notice me, but I was in my window, so I caught a glimpse. But yeah, that's why you were doing what, three OMEs or two OMEs at once?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that would be a good question. Is so when the instructors came out with the 46, they kind of talked about it. But if you're an instructor in an MWS coming to the 46, what does that progression kind of look like? Because it's not, you know,
yeah,
C5 and stuff like that.
So there's two ways that we can do that. They're right now, Altus Air Force Base only has the ability to train an airman to an MP status. So they have no instructor program. So if you are an instructor in the C5 and you're going to come to the 46 and you go to Altus, you go through you graduate there as an MP. And then you come to us and we have an in-unit program to get you to IP. If you're a past MWS IP with the IP experience, you will fall into that program. The other option, which is pretty difficult to get now, but it was a early patch for the lack of aircrew production from flight safety, is called the Aircrew Training Detachment, and that they're the unit here at McConnell, which is really it's kind of like one of our flights that we've spit out, and we call it the Aircrew Training Detachment. But all they do is they trained everybody at Seymour, all the reserve squadron at Seymour. They trained all the reservists here. They trained all the National Guard folks at Pease, and they've trained half of this squadron pretty much. I stood that up not last January, but the January prior. They said, hey, you're going to be an ATD chief. And that was when I was supposed to be the PIO here, and I had no idea what the hell that was. So I called the KC-10 folks at Travis, and I was like, hey, how do you do FTU out there? And they walked me through some things. I got a couple of their syllabuses and then took the ones from flight safety down at Altus and just made something start happening. And then the people that took it after me have just like ran with it. If you go through that program, you will go through an IP program. You'll get a check ride as an IP. And then the moment you show up into the squadron, we just don't certify you. We just wait until you go through and get hours and get exposure. I walked out to this airplane as an IP with having a 767 type rating from Miami and sim differences here at McConnell. And they signed me off as an IP when my predecessor was here because we had no way of making IPs. And the first time I went out to the 46 to fly it, I was an instructor pilot and I had no idea what the hell I was doing. So we've come a long, long way in 2 years. There's formal programs to it. Some people get impatient with it. It's just it's the nature of the beast right now. So you can expect to get in. I have 2 flights in this squadron. All of them, all told, there's 18 majors that my 2 captain flight commanders are in charge of, and they are literally in flights for the purpose of, I don't want them doing anything else except for learning this airplane, because I need them to become instructors, and then I need to send them either to McGuire, keep them here, and start putting them to work. But happiest majors you've ever seen in the Air Force. Like they literally task their flight commanders. So, which is fun, which is a great experience for the flight commanders. But the reason being is they just need to focus on flying the airplane and become instructors. I hope that helps. Eventually, right? Eventually, Altus will have a differences and an IP program where, as a similar Phoenix person would do, they would go through that. I'm trying to think of normally when we had in the C5, when we would have crossflow folks from the 135 come over. I think it was usually an in-unit, wasn't it? They would go through the schoolhouse down in San Antonio, come to us qualled, and then we do an in-unit IP program when they're ready. I think.
Same.
Yeah. So we treat that fairly similar to that. So you get similar to what you would do if you were just crossflow.
Sweet, thank you, sir. That's great.
Gotcha, sir. It looks like we got about time for just one more question. I'll just ask this one real quick. A lot of us are gonna wonder, because we've only had Fred and we only know what it's like flying C5s. So what is the family lifestyle like? Like, what is the work-life balance gonna be at somewhere like McGuire, or even whenever they get to Travis? Like, what would that look like?
Yeah, great question. I think I have 7 or 8 C-130 folks here in the squadron, and they will tell you they've never had it so good. Like, they are home with their parents. We don't deploy. I have 1 young airman deployed right now. I have 3 crews leaving this weekend for an exercise, and they'll be back at the end of the week, or mid next week. So it is as family friendly as it gets right now. Now, does that change once TACC gets the tasking authority on this airplane? Absolutely. I think you can probably expect a similar battle rhythm to the KC-10 and the 135, where you'll probably spend 3 months or so of the year gone, 3 to 4 months of the year, or of the year and a half, would be my guess. I think that we're probably 3 or 4 years away from that. But right now, like, if I want to go off station, I look at the board and see, and there's no bad OSTs. Like, nobody's, opting to go down to El Paso and tear up the pattern. Like, they're all pretty sweet. They're all pretty sweet. So life is good right now. That is all going to slowly start changing as the warfighter gets a hold of this thing. But I don't see that happening in 3 to 4 years.
Sweet. Just open it up one last time. If anybody's got any more questions, please just go ahead and ask now. Don't want to use too much of your time, sir.
No, this is trust me, this has been the highlight of my week.
All right, but if anybody doesn't have anything left, please stop me if you do come up with something at the last minute. But we thank you for having this time with us, sir. Definitely super great having somebody with a C5 perspective coming over to enlighten us, because we could hear many things from other people, say from KC-10s or 135s, and just wouldn't necessarily relate to us as much. But we appreciate you taking this time out and coming to talk to us. If you want to come by and talk to us again, please just reach out, and we would love to have you on again. I'm sure we're gonna have more questions to shoot over your way, and we'll filter those through your exec channels and all.
No, for sure. You guys, like I said, this has been the highlight of my week. The 22nd is in really, really good hands. You all have a phenomenal commander. And if there's any questions about the 46, or if you all have anything, just reach out directly to me, or let Lieutenant Colonel Trumbull know, and he can work directly with me. Man, you all have the world ahead of you. Don't lose sight of that. The Air Force offers so many opportunities to you. I never understood that until really the last couple of years. So keep doing what you're doing. This is an awesome opportunity.
Josh, brother, this is priceless time. And like I said before, we're going to record it so the folks around the road can tap into the Muley Cloud later and and get some of this goodness. I mean, you're building the path for a whole new community in the Air Force, and your team is in good hands, right? I know that for sure. And I can't sing your praises enough, brother. Thanks for this time. This is great stuff. Like I said, talking to Cosmo and John Schwartz and just kind of recollecting back, and we were, tearing up the pattern, hair on fire as captains. Now we're the old cats, right? And trying to share some of that with the young crowd that's dialed in right now is good, right? We're paying it forward. So thanks for that, man. I know you're busy. If you need anything from me, let me know. We'll be in touch. I'll filter those questions, like you said. And yeah, brother, I appreciate it again.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Brian.
Okay.
Hey, inboard elevator, hydraulic power switches set, crew start report. Right? Rock on.
Right.
Hey, I'll see you guys
Got it. See you, bud.
later.
All right. Thank you, guys.